We're live. Excellent. We're off to a great start.
Yeah, just not say anything.
We'll just sit here in just like complete silence for like an
It's
entire
your video.
hour.
You start the intro.
Hello everybody. I'm Blackendrose, as you know, because this is my channel, and I'm joined here by my resident house thing, Evilsdeathazul.
Evilsdeathazul.
Okay, so we have our resident pedantic house thing. Yes.
Three or four videos I've done on this man. He's never gotten the name right.
I'll get it right one day. But yes, it's our lead and I suppose only researcher of the.
No, I'm not the only researcher.
Well, the one with the official title.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm officially a researcher.
Well, let's say you're
the most work in.
Let's say you're the lead one and go with that. But yes. Yeah, go on.
When it comes to research, I do put the most work in for research, though.
Oh God, yes. Especially with the one we've been doing lately, which brings us tidily to this game.
Which, interestingly enough, we have taken off.
Oh, have we taken it off the list?
I believe so. I discussed it with you. Remember?
Well, this might be a good way to sort of show my point as well. Behind it, because for the viewers who are watching this, and if you are, why are you still watching this? We have a rather large list of worst games, and this one, which is Captain Planet and the Planeteers for the NES, we're trying to shave down the list a little bit, and this is one of the ones that is based on the chopping block for coming off, and hopefully I'll be able to describe why as this video goes, because this is the footage that I got of the game.
Let me check our Trello, and I can tell you what our current number is at right now.
I think
so we have three. We're working on 3 lists right now since we just finished edition. Our next list is going to be Spider Enemies. The list after that is going to be Jerks in Games, and the list after that is Worst Games. The reason why we've been doing Worst Games is because it is a genre-based list.
Yes.
Which means more research is put into it. Which means full walkthroughs, looking up, information about how it was created, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
We are currently at 112 entries, and we need to dumb it down to 100.
Yes, and even 100 is quite a large listing, but it's a nice round number to go to. But as you said, that like the research for this particular kind of listing is much harder, because determining what makes a game bad isn't really something that you can do in 5 minutes. It's something that requires quite a deep assessment of the game in question, which generally requires looking at an entire game in its entirety to sort of see how it goes.
We do this so you don't have to. And yes, I did quote Nostalgia Critic. We just finished watching the wonderful game, actually 2 wonderful games of not Captain Planet.
No, that's what we're about to watch.
Yeah, I've watched that too, but no, Metal Gear Survive, which that's on the list for obvious reasons, and Link Faces of Evil, which is CDI.
CDI, yeah.
Which none of those existed. Or it should exist. I actually talked with someone I know on from one of my favorite YouTube channels, and I asked him. I'm not gonna name him. He knows who he is. I'll probably send this video to him. I asked him what he thought of which he preferred better, Hotel Mario or the Zelda CDI games, and he actually said he would prefer to play the Zelda CDI games instead of Hotel Mario, because it's such a drag playing Hotel Mario.
Yes, and there's a very good reason for that. Hotel Mario is so repetitive. At least Faces of Evil actually has some colour to it.
Not that makes
no. It doesn't make it. It doesn't make it good, but it makes it more interesting to play than Hotel Mario.
Yeah.
Shall I start this video?
Yeah. Winter Race 3. Interesting. I don't think I looked that one up.
Okay, so this isn't actually the start of the game. This is just when I loaded up the game, and this is where I'd left off during my testing.
Yeah,
which is a game over screen.
Yeah, Blacken does he does a few things on the channel now since our last video. He is now a scriptwriter, along with practically might as well be one of the larger gameplay recorders, because he puts in a significant amount of entries.
Hey, it's DSP.
Oh god. Oh god. I hope he doesn't find this video.
What chance is there of that happening?
I don't know. As long as we don't write it in the description, I think we'll be fine.
But yeah, I mean, I've done script writing for a while. I think that's been mentioned on previous videos. Oh yeah, here's the first stage in the game.
Yeah.
Now, from a graphical standpoint on the NES, this isn't actually too bad.
No. I'm gonna admit I was a little judgmental of this game, specifically just because I'm already knowing this was on the worst games list. Kind of made me a little cautious. I think one of the main reasons I didn't particularly like this game myself was the fact you have to switch to different power-ups.
There's good and bad behind that, because the different power-ups are quite fascinating. However, as we just saw there, they don't all work properly.
Yeah, that's one of my big things, is they don't always function like they should. I can also tell that the emulator's already stuttering.
Yeah.
It's pushing your emulator to its to the nth degree.
Yeah, there's a few interesting little graphical glitches that happen in this.
Okay, that rock one, not one of the ones I'm particularly fond of.
It's a shame, really, because it becomes basically the only weapon you get. I think it's like in stage 3.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, to be fair, you have save states, which helps.
Yes, I can't remember at what point I started using them in this. It becomes evident when we keep bouncing back to bits. Although I did have to stitch this together out of about 4 videos, because on the second to last stage I had to fish out a guide because I couldn't work out what I was doing wrong.
Was it one of the ones where you were actually playing Captain Planet?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So the Captain Planet levels in this game are actually pretty much labyrinths.
Oh no! Wait! It wasn't the Captain Planet level that did it. It was the last vehicle section you have.
Oh, okay.
But
I still don't like the Captain Planet sections because of how labyrinthine it is.
Yeah, I mean, this was a feature. The feature just said that you can turn your vehicle around and go back the other way, which is quite an interesting idea. Except it's not really that relevant, except in the last vehicle section, which is what I needed the guide for.
That's how you learned about it, huh?
No, that's not how I learned about it. I knew it existed, but I didn't know it was essential at that point.
Did you get knocked out by a thing of oil?
Yep. Yep, game over.
I can tell just how quickly you did that. You knew you were really just wanting to be done with that.
Well, here's the thing about what I like about this game is that it has numerous powers that you're given access to at the start of the game, and its deaths in this are quite punchy, they're quite quick, and it has quite a generous checkpoint system. The downside to that is that one hit when you're in the vehicle will send you crashing.
Yeah.
And you can end up burning through your lives quickly. But by a token, you have unlimited continues that take you back to the start of the stage. Not to the start of the game, just the start of the stage. So, it feels like that there are mechanics in this that work well, but it feels like that some of the mechanics are pasting over other problems.
Well, okay, I can give you an example of a problem, because I don't remember, because of course, I've watched a lot of this, but watching over 100 video games, you tend to forget some of the things.
Yes.
I don't remember if there was a life counter, despite the fact that you do have a life system in this, but you don't. Or is this just a graphical glitch?
No, there is actually a life counter, but you don't see it until you pause the game.
Okay.
It becomes more relevant when I actually start pausing the game at certain points. You also, when you're playing as Captain Planet, you tend to have greater access to more lives, which is kind of pointless because your lives refill at the end of each stage.
Interesting. So, this little point in life collecting in the Captain Planet sections. And that's another thing I want to talk about, is the Captain Planet sections are very much, very labyrinth-like.
Yeah, they do become much more difficult to work with when you start getting into the later stages. Like, I found the last couple of stages were real trials. I mean, I didn't actually look up a walkthrough for any of them, other than just making sure I was doing the right thing.
Yeah. Well, this is what we have to decide, especially for NES games, is whether a game is just ridiculously hard or if it's an officially bad game. For example, now that we're going over this and I'm watching the gameplay, I wouldn't call it a bad game. Yeah, some of the functions are not completely workable. Like, I think the wind, it's either the wind or the fire that don't work correctly when you're in this vehicle section.
I think it's actually the water that does it. It's the one that the waves about.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I never found a use for that in the vehicle sections.
Yeah. So the water, yeah.
However, it is one of the more essential powers when you're playing as Captain Planet.
Yeah, but the powers are different when you're playing Captain Planet too.
Kinda, if you have access to the same repertoire, but they just operate differently.
Yeah, that's what I mean, is they don't work the same way as the vehicle section. So, after every vehicle section, you will move on to a Captain Planet section, from what I remember.
And I will say, I do like how they do the introduction to Captain Planet. Like, they show one of the planeteers, and they show another one, and then they do this nifty little segment.
Well, it's what was in the show.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that this was a game adaptation of a TV show.
And interestingly enough, it actually stayed close to the TV show.
And that's the thing that I kind of think works its favour, is that I've seen games that try and do adaptations of TV shows and movies before, and they turn out pretty garbage. Like, considering this one was pushing a message of, like, protecting the planet,
evolution, yeah,
then it kind of feels like that you sort of give it a bit more leeway in the sense of it was a game that was made as an adaptation to something else.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I'm not saying that it was particularly great. So that little planet symbol was an extra life.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is one of the things.
This is what the water does.
Yeah.
You can actually go through areas that. I don't think you can go through electricity though.
No, you can't. There is. This is one of the things I don't like about this game, is that not only do you take massive damage for everything, but your health bar is also your power.
Which means you lose more power, you lose health as well.
Yes, and what that can mean is, as we saw earlier, there was a segment where I needed to use my power to get through the slime.
We had an issue with another game that did that, and it was Dragon Power, which was... That was an interesting piece of garbage.
Well, Dragon Power worked a little bit different in the sense that your life was always ticking down, although it is kind of in this, but they account for that in that there's lots and lots of power-ups throughout the stage that refill it, and when you die, you get all your power back. The problem I have with this is that there are segments that require you to use your power,
and if you're no health.
And if you're running low, you're in a segment where you can't proceed further. So I had to use the rock power there, because only the rock power will break those walls.
Ah, okay.
If you're wondering how I'm powering through this level so quickly, it's because this is what I was doing when I was doing the testing.
Yeah.
I powered through stage 1 and stage 2, despite the fact that I don't show me reaching the end of stage 2 in this video. But I have actually reached the end of it.
I figured that. It also doesn't really matter to me, cause yeah, you got bone there.
Yep.
Because like I've seen a full walkthrough. There's an interesting section where you possess a bear.
Oh yeah, I do show that section in this game.
Okay, yeah, because that was. I'm still not quite sure what to think of that.
Yeah, like, and that's not the only segment where you sort of do. Basically, that's the function of the heart power.
Heart, yeah, you can control when you use heart. You can take control of the mind of animals.
You don't strictly. It's not classed as taking control of them, but you basically drive them into action.
Yeah, you influence them.
Yeah, and it sort of gave me this really weird philosophical moment of this is supposed to be a game about protecting the planet and protecting the environment, and we're enlisting animals to go and do our dirty work. I was like, this doesn't feel like the wholesome message that it really should be.
I guess it's because both of us are just animal lovers, but like, it just didn't make sense to me, at least.
Well, it doesn't make sense in the context of the game, because, again, the whole point of it is you're supposed to be like the defenders of the environment. But you're actively enlisting animals to go put themselves in danger, like, because the bear latches onto the back of a toxic truck. Oh, first boss fight.
Yeah. Oh, good job there.
There you go.
I forgot how simple the boss fights can be.
Yeah, if you get grabbed, you have to transform to get out of it, and then just go up to his glass visor and just punch the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And to be fair, graphically, that's actually a pretty good depiction of Captain Planet there for the NES.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing was they weren't consistent with the color scheme with the actual sprite, and I know it has to do with the NES's color limitations, because it can only have what is it? It's an 8-bit game, so it can only have 16 colors total. So this is just
this stage annoyed the shit out of me. To stop the vehicles, you have to drop a rock in front of them. If they reach the water, then you lose a life.
Yep.
Now, this is something you might not be aware of. The only way to get close to the vehicles is to go down to ground level, because that's the only time you're faster than them.
That's not how helicopters work.
No, it isn't. And so you have this glorious section of me. Yeah, unfortunately, this is where the control element becomes a problem. The controls are very, very fiddly. So you'll see. It's all right. You'll see a few times where I do that.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. To be fair, I laugh at it myself. I'm just glad I'm not playing it.
Let me point out the fact I've known Blacken for
nearly 2 years
over a year now. He is. Yeah, we've known each other since before I was part of TTV. When that was an Extra Life too.
I know.
I've known Blacken for a little over a year now, going on 2 years before I joined TTV, and both of us can explain. We are both very decent gamers. Blacken more so on old school gaming, and me more on achievement style gaming.
Oh yeah, like you are one hell of a trophy hunter, and I respect that. Whoops. Yeah. I died trying to get an extra life.
You flipped the tree.
How pathetic. Yeah, and the trucks have turrets on them.
Knifed you.
The thing is,
the turrets
don't always fire, so it's a little bit random.
There you go. It only took you one game over.
Yeah, and I had the family up, and I still crashed.
That did not work. So, as we said, I am a major trophy hunter, especially when it comes to currently. It's my trophy hunting game is the Kingdom Hearts series.
Yes.
And I have platinum trophies on 5 of the games that are platinum that you can get trophies on because you can't get trophies in the movie game. The movies, what I call the movie Kingdom Hearts, they're just video.
Yes.
In the PS4 versions, so that's the 3 games are that you cannot get trophies in at all are 358 over 2 days, Recoded, and Union Key, and it is pronounced Key, according to the Kingdom Hearts lore. Yeah, I know. This is well. You screwed that bear. I think you just... Okay, I know you're switching through things, but it looks like you're just pondering what just happened.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I accidentally loaded the wrong save state.
And I bet you're like, shit.
Well, I think this is why I didn't finish that stage, even though I have done it before. So this is the start of the Captain Planet section of that stage.
Yeah.
But basically, the only thing you miss is that when you catch up to the vehicle, the bear is latched onto the back of it.
Yeah.
And it's the funniest thing I've seen.
I'm just picturing a bear, like, holding the bumper of a truck.
It's literally, like, latched onto the entire back of it, trying to slow it down. But it introduces a problem in the sense of you would have no reason to do that in the context of gameplay, because it's never been really explained. I mean, I mean, they have the manuals for these as well.
Yeah, well, yeah. You'd have to look at the manual, but you also wouldn't if you. I get Captain Planet was a semi-popular show. I say semi because not everybody has played it or heard of it, obviously. So if you haven't seen the show, you really, really don't know what's going on.
No, it was very much, and to be fair, like, not to try and get like political all that, I really do think that a show like this probably has a lot of relevance today.
It does. It does. And it's not just a political point. That's just by a scientific point.
Well, I mean, the environment is a major talking point. It's a major like event. Oh yeah, there's the lives there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a major.
You're making your save
yeah,
state.
I'm making the save states. It's a major point in the world today about the environment. And it kind of made me think that something like this probably should be making a comeback.
It should, yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, we're gonna obviously avoid politics, but from a scientific point of view, yeah, the environment is something very, very important. And I can give you a good example. So, are you familiar with the butterfly effect?
Yes.
You know, a butterfly will flap its wings in Central Park, and there's a monsoon somewhere else.
Yeah, the idea that a small action can cascade into a bigger reaction.
Exactly. And that's very true for the environment. Any small action a person can do can cause another reaction within the environment. That's why people are trying to make others more aware. And unfortunately, it's being used through politics instead of, in
conjunction with
science.
Yeah.
Because it's science really should not be a political debate.
Yeah, I'm not going to get on my soapbox on that one.
No.
Because I could have an entire debate about that. But I mean, put simply, like on the original point, like, I feel like in today's world where the environment is so heavily talked about, like, it kind of feels like that today is like the ultimate time when something like Captain Planet should exist, especially for informing like the next generation on the significance of the environment.
Well, not to mention, I would not mind seeing a reboot of the Captain Planet show. I enjoyed the show myself as a kid.
Yeah, I remember seeing it on and off when I was younger as well. It was an interesting. I mean, it was very Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, it was a cliched Saturday, cartoon.
Oh yeah, it was cliched. It was indescribably cliched, but it had a message, and the message was ultimately a good message.
There was actually an interesting episode that didn't have to do with the environment. It actually had to do with AIDS.
Yes, I remember that. I remember that one. Well, I don't remember seeing it, but I do remember. Oh yeah, so this is a boss fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just teleported on me.
Oh, it's Tim Curry's character.
And we go down and deal with the sadistic AI.
Yeah, I think Tim Curry was the guy who voiced this guy.
But yeah, like going back.
I forgot about that animation.
Yeah, he's just sitting there flexing his muscles.
But yeah, sorry, didn't.
Yeah, it's like the whole like the AIDS episode point. Like I remember watching something on YouTube about that, and they confront the subject of AIDS, and I think it was something along the lines of like to not be ashamed of it.
Well, it was also not to spread rumors because
yes,
the villains were doing. It's basically another type of pollution, but it's not the same type of pollution. It's called rumor pollution.
Yes,
and it's it's self-explanatory. It's when someone starts a rumor, and what they were doing was they were starting a rumor about, like the bad guys were starting a rumor about this one character who got the HIV virus from a dirty when he was getting his vaccines. Apparently, they gave him they used a unsanitized needle.
Yeah.
And he got the virus, and they started spreading rumors about it, saying it was, just being near him was gonna make it contagious. And it was definitely a good lesson to learn because, this was the 1990s and 1990s, and, people were getting the wrong aim. That freaking missile is sniping you pretty dang hard.
Yeah, I think I lose all of my lives on this. Because this has a bit of a problem.
The rock doesn't.
The rock doesn't fall very quickly, and you have to do it when it's open. But also, oh yeah, still blew up.
What?
Hitboxes.
What?
There's also the problem that if you move back while the rock is still in motion, the rock moves back with you.
Yeah.
So
that's a bit of a flaw in my opinion.
And you're seeing how close I'm getting to where that missile hits.
Yeah.
Like the margin for error in that is so bad, and yeah, my timing is just terrible.
At least with these vehicle sections, that the power-ups do not actually count against your health.
Kind of do.
They do?
Well, not in the sense of your health, but if you run out of power, you can't actually defend yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And it becomes essential in a later area where you actually have to use the heart power.
That's not involving the bear.
No, it's involving elephants. But
not sure how to respond to that.
Yeah. It's the stage after this one. And yeah, I save state like a motherfucker from this point.
Well, here's the thing. NES games were notoriously difficult back in the day. Now, this is definitely before my time because I'm only 26. But I can recognize how NES, had such a ridiculous... a lot of NES games, Battletoads, Silver Surfer, they all had unnecessarily difficult difficulty curves.
What do you think I've got to do here? Deploy the whale!
Yeah.
And then... Deploy the whale! Deploy the whale! I've never thought I'd find a day where I could use the term deploy the whale.
Job on losing that life.
Yeah, unfortunately the sub has really bad inertia, so trying to change direction is really quite difficult.
So one of the things about Blacken is that he is our emulation expert as well. So whenever a game that we, because there are systems that you just cannot, record naturally or easily with ease. So we have to rely on emulation. And we have a strict code of conduct when it comes to emulation.
Yes.
It cannot go past a certain generation. I think PS2 is our earliest or is our latest generation we allow.
It's generally along the lines of PS2, N64 sort of thing.
And they have to be games that are like for example, if the PS2 game, for example, is available on the PS4, there's no need to emulate it.
No. We also work to the idea that if it's anything that's being emulated, someone on the team has to own it.
To a degree.
To a degree. I mean, things like this, like, there's no way anyone's going to own this.
No. And I know for a fact Nintendo's not going to care. And neither is the company that made this game.
I don't even know if they exist anymore. Like, some of them literally don't.
No. I believe LJN does not exist anymore. And LJN is the company that made the god-awful Marvel games.
Deploy the octopus.
X-Men. Do you... I'm so glad PETA did not exist back then.
Which is kind of ironic, really, considering what this entire game is supposed to be about.
I know, right? So... What I mean is that, in... Like, for example, The Legend of Zelda... video game. Because it is available on, like, the original Legend of Zelda, you could get it at the Wii U Virtual Store.
Yes.
Which is, still around. You can also record it on the Switch if you have, the Nintendo membership.
Yes.
So at that point, there's no need for emulation. But for games like this,
yeah, you're gonna have a very hard time, like, trying to acquire a legitimate, and not even a case of legitimate version, but a legitimate first-party version.
Yeah, because back in NES days, unlicensed ports of games were always existent.
Well, it's not even that. It's just like, if you go onto eBay and purchase this, like, you're purchasing it from someone. Like, you're not. The money isn't going to the developer.
Yeah.
Which has always been my argument against, like, what I'd call unsolicited emulation, in the sense that, oh, I want to play this game, but I don't want to pay money for it, despite the fact that it exists today. It's like, no, I don't agree with that.
Well, for example, I got a good example. So I own Rare Replay, and I believe Tats does too. And Rare Replay has several different games on it, including Banjo-Kazooie, Conker's Bad Fur Day. Sorry, didn't mean to hit my mic. A lot of games that originally were released on the Nintendo 64, like 3 or 4 I can think of, and Battletoads as well. And if you think about this, that means that there is no point in emulating those games, because we have the ability to record them directly from the actual... We can record from the actual gameplay.
Yes.
Instead of doing this. And emulators are also very, very unstable.
Oh god, yeah, tell me about it.
I've been screwing around with a PS2 emulator that Blacken set up for me. And, there are a couple games I cannot get working. For example, I cannot get Enter the Matrix working whatsoever, which means poor Azula, my fiance, she used to play that game as a kid, and because we cannot get it emulated, because at a certain section, the game just crashes, completely done.
Yeah, it's a pretty big problem with some games. It's why I have the stance that I can never say that an emulation project is going to work all the way, because there are some games that literally just have that point where there's something that happens that the emulator just can't cope with.
One good example is I loved the Da Vinci Code video game. Problem is the PS2 emulator will not run the cutscenes. I don't know if it's fixable. If it is, if you have any ideas, then we can work on that later, but I don't think it is fixable.
It's... Sometimes it can be the ROM, sometimes it can be the emulator, sometimes it can just be the join of the two. Like, again, there's a few games that I've played that...
I could find another ROM of the Da Vinci Code and just download it.
Well, I mean, I was working on emulation projects yesterday for someone, and one of the ones I was getting just would not play. But then I just went to another site, picked up another one, and that one did play. So sometimes it can just be the ROM image. That's the problem. Yeah. But I think the problem is that the greater complexity that comes with the games, like the more possibility of emulation fuck-ups happening.
Yeah. Well, it's not like the game's super complex. It's straightforward, puzzle, and the fighting sequences are all just QTE. They're interesting QTE because you still have to fight and you can get attacked while performing a QTE, but it's still just a QTE fight. Just the style of it is not the worst. I like the sort of complexity where you can actually, during your QTE, you can still be attacked.
Interesting.
That form of vulnerability kind of makes it a little more fun.
By the way,
I remember this girl. She was a bitch in the show.
I was about to say, oh look.
She was nice.
This is going to sound really weird. This is going to sound really off now, but they really did have a rather varied ethnic diversity of the Planeteers.
Because they had a guy from Africa, they had a girl from Russia, girl from I believe China, a guy from India, or no, from Brazil. Sorry. And then you had your American white guy.
Yeah.
And the problem was,
fish guts.
Yeah, the Russian girl and the American guy always fought.
Oh, that's a little uncomfortable.
Because she always called him a capitalist pig. I'm like, okay.
That's a little bit. I mean, granted, it was a
time.
Where... It was like a sign of the times.
Yeah.
But I mean, Jesus. Alright, you couldn't get away with that today.
No. There was a lot of things the 80s and 90s got away with that we couldn't get away with today.
Well, again, it was just how things were back then. It's like how the old Bond films always had the Russians as the villains.
Yeah.
So this was something that perplexed me. Those balls that have been fired out, they don't actually hurt you.
No, they just push you back.
Yes. But the fish guts apparently hurt you, so apparently Captain Planet's allergic to fish.
No, I can explain to you why. Because I've gone fishing before. Have you felt a fish bone stab you?
I can imagine.
It doesn't feel good.
I mean, I know what they're going for in this is that it's basically just like you're being harmed by pollution.
Yeah.
And like this whole thing is about just. I mean, this is just about the overfishing side of things. Although this particular boss fight is one part a pain in the ass, but another part piss easy.
It's Hoggish. Hoggish was always, for some reason, Hoggish was super simple if you did his fights right.
Well, I mean because this is him again. Since Apparently, Hoggish broke out of jail and decided to start hunting fish. Yeah, this is another element I disliked in this level, is that you can get sucked into those grinders.
Yeah, and come out whole but damaged.
Oh, you come out whole, but because you're in those segments of fish, you're basically just all your health is just drained out of you.
It's pretty much a perma-stun.
Yeah. And it's really, really, like, this is where the save states really saved my bacon.
Yeah.
Ironic considering the name of the guy we're dealing with.
Yeah, I wonder if he knows what it's like when his brothers are going through the freaking grinder. Too soon?
Maybe too soon for him.
Like how Captain Planet's like scratching his like, okay, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, when you sit there for a while, he just sort of goes, huh? What am I doing?
Interesting that this game had an idle animation, because it was rare for the NES games to have idle animations.
Well, they certainly didn't have any like elaborate ones like they had in this one. Like, I mean, they had the Mega Man sort of blinking thing, but it was quite rare for them to have like actual animations.
And Captain Planet scratching his head is a little beyond just blinking.
Oh yeah, like there's probably about 5 frames in there, which is
because like the first game that really introduced an idle animation was actually Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
because he would tap his foot.
Yeah, he would tap his foot and then he'd lie on the floor.
Yep. Then in Sonic CD, of course, if you did Jack Diddley squat, he would just jump off the stage.
Yeah,
I'm out of here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this was me loading the save state because I realised that when I got dumped through that tube, it dumped me about halfway back to the stage.
I noticed that. I'm like, oh no, he realised what went on.
Yeah. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm not dealing with that shit.
Don't talk this shit out of my... No copyright.
I think that only applies if you do it well enough.
I didn't try either.
People have actually been hit by that. They've been hit with copyright strikes because their rendition was too good. Yeah, I think
Yeah, but you also have to make money for the copyright to actually kick in.
Yeah,
last I checked, you don't make jack.
It's a really fiddly setup there because some people worm it into basically say that because they haven't made sales, despite the fact that the person hasn't made money, they can sometimes claim it as lost profit rather than like someone actually making profit out of it.
Your channel's also too tiny for that to happen.
Oh god, yeah, like that.
Did you just get stabbed by ceiling fish?
Yeah, all of that glop is harmful as well, and you do take like ridiculous amounts of damage. I think I'm approaching the boss fight now, which is horrible in the sense of the entire thing is just that, just those.
Oh dear.
Yep.
The good news is you don't take damage.
No, but it does put you dangerously close to that fish, and yeah, that time the game just spawned me on it. So I'm down to my last life, so I'm like, okay, bring on the save states.
I'm not redoing this level.
Yeah, and then there's 3 of those, followed by a little lull, and then like another 4 more.
Then it's going to be the same hoggish fight from before.
It's actually worse than that.
Oh, no.
You don't even punch him.
He just gives up?
Yeah, you just as soon as you get up to his face, he just gives up. If people are wondering why I keep stopping before I start playing again, it's because I don't like to keep the save state loaded text in the video.
Yeah, you're the type of person who will cut that out.
Yep, there we go. Just fly up to him and he gives up. But yeah, I mean, I do try and take a bit of pride in making these videos and try and cut out some of the needless bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, this stuff's going on Tat's channel. It's not like the throwaway stuff that I do on my channel where I just load up stuff and have fun with it.
Well, yeah, but this is also not some of your original stuff either.
Loot and plunder.
Argos Bleak.
Oh yeah, this is the level with the elephants.
I remember this. You have to rescue the elephants.
Yeah, it has a really nasty. I know DSP is known for using this term noob trap, but this really does have the best example of a noob trap in it. Yeah, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to pull the elephant out of the cage, and then you're supposed to escort it to the wildlife preserve. Now, the only way to drop the elephant is to go down to ground level and drop it. Or release it.
Man, that exposes you.
Well, there's that. No, bye-bye!
He's like, thanks, dude!
But there's also the element that you're much slower
than this helicopter.
Yeah, and those helicopters just do not stop spawning.
No, I noticed that when I first saw the walkthrough. It was very much a jerk move.
This is why you need the elephants.
Yeah, I noticed that you left the elephant behind.
Yeah, I was trying to work out the sort of path I'd have to cross with this thing. Because if you drop it down, it won't go over any of the barriers.
No. You actually have to lift it all the way to the preserve.
Yeah, and I also didn't realise that the helicopters kept spawning. Because it didn't occur to me at this point I was supposed to use the elephants to destroy the missile batteries.
That can reverse your controls.
No, turning around doesn't reverse your controls. It serves no purpose in the helicopter. Because you can go backwards and forwards.
Boxes.
And also,
I will say it's not the worst game, but it's definitely not a great game either.
No, and this was something that occurred to me in playing it, is that this game isn't as bad as some people make it out to be, but it's definitely not a good one. The biggest problem I had.
Why are they putting 2 helicopters on you?
I know they really do. The difficulty has really weird spikes in this, and that was often an element in NES games where the difficulty spikes a lot. And incidentally, this is one of the stages where you can very easily run out of power.
Yeah.
Because you have to pick up the elephant. I later found out that it's actually more efficient to just carry the elephant the whole way.
Oh, yeah, because the elephant's really, really slow.
Well, I mean, you kind of go very slow when you're carrying it, but when it reaches a barrier, you have to change your ability to the heart whilst dealing with all of these helicopters that keep coming along. And yeah, so the elephant destroys that and then goes to the elephant reserve.
At this point, please tell me you decided to save state.
There's a checkpoint there, but I do save state.
Yeah.
But look at my power at the moment. I burnt out a hell of a lot of power on the first one. There were 3 of these.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, they stopped spawning 2 helicopters.
The spawning in this is a little bit random, I found.
Ooh. Emulation stutter. Ah, there it is.
Yeah.
I called it too soon.
Yeah, and then that elephant just falls in the hole there. So then I have to get it out. Oh, look, another helicopter. The yellow one.
You're looking for the fist to, fix your powers.
No, unfortunately, you don't get any more power in the vehicle sections until you die.
I thought those fists will.
No, I thought that as well. But what the fist does, it just gives you an amped up form of the power you're using. So for the fireball, it just makes it like a big fireball that pierces enemies.
So if you're out of power, you're SOL.
Pretty much, yeah, because you can't even attack at that point. And in a stage like this, like when you run out of power, you can't pick up the elephant anymore. And this was the problem I had with this game, is that it's far too easy to softlock yourself. Right, the game plays relatively okay. The controls are very fiddly. The hitboxes are very unforgiving.
But then again, that's a lot of NES games.
Yeah, but then there's also the element that in this game, like, there's a rather liberal checkpoint system. There's, like, the continues don't run out, whereas some NES games they do. It's generally fairly easy to acquire new lives, so it feels like that in some areas it was doing some pretty decent things, but it felt like many of those things were pasting over other problems. And that's kind of like my biggest issue with this, is that there's a lot of potential here. There's a lot of good ideas on display, but it's being let down by the manner in which it's being delivered.
That makes sense.
It feels like it could have undergone a bit of playtesting to realise that, like, the way the powers work are being very unforgiving, especially considering that for the majority of the game, the only power I use in the vehicle sections is either the rock or the flame, except when I need to use the heart. And then in the Captain Planet sections, the only ones I tend to use are the rock
and water.
Rock and water. And it's like, I don't like the water power. It wasn't even useful in the sub.
No.
Like, the only power I could use there was literally rock, outside of the heart sections. Because fire just doesn't work, and wind just doesn't work. So it's kind of like, why even have them if they're completely functionless?
Like, I'm safe stating here.
Yep, save state there because I've actually made progress. Yeah,
Well, this is at the point where you realize, oh yeah, carrying the elephant's actually better.
Right, it's also because, like, look at my power level as well.
Yeah.
And that's the most frustrating thing, is that, yeah, trying to pick up an elephant with a bunch of helicopters on screen is not fun.
Yeah. And instead, you decide not to load your save state.
Oh yeah, I did.
Now, yeah.
I think I was trying to remember where I'd left the save state, and then then I remembered that I save stated at that point. Like, these helicopters really do not give a fuck in this.
No, they don't.
Like,
and then you do that, it gets rid of the...
Yeah, so that goes in the preserve, and then I get an extra life. And I think I actively try and kill myself, because I basically have no power.
Well, if you hit the ground, you die, so...
I think it was kind of like, okay, maybe if I can just, like, squeeze the elephant up, which is a statement I never thought I'd say.
There's so many levels of disappointment I have.
This is what our research turns into oftentimes. Something will happen oh yeah, I've literally run out of power.
So you are just lifting this elephant, praying you're gonna survive.
There we go. But because the checkpoint takes me back to that particular elephant, I save state here with all my power.
Yeah.
But again, this highlights the biggest problem, is that you can actually reach a state where you can be completely, like, immobilized. And like and it actually becomes very relevant in the noob trap in this level, which I did fall for, I will say. Because what happens is, there's an elephant preserve that shows up in a little bit, which is right here. And I think, okay, I've done it. Notice something that the elephant hasn't done.
Hasn't destroyed the satellites, which have to keep the helicopters from coming.
Yes. Now see, what happens is that is a fake elephant preserve. It's a trap. Because what happens is, right after that, is the thing the elephant has to destroy, and then there's another reserve after that. But the ultimate thing is that you have no reason to think that. Like, it's such a trial, and I really hate things that do that, where it does the trial and error trap.
So there's a ROM hack of Super Mario World. It's called Kaizo Mario, and it's basically got a bunch of what you call noob traps. The ROM hack community call them Kaizo traps. And basically, what it is like it's like it could be like a you get to the goal post, and then there's a bunch of munchers at the end of the goal post, and if you didn't hit like a switch palace from earlier, you're gonna fall into the bunch of munchers, even if you reached the goal post and completed the level, and it will take your life away, and you will not complete the level.
Yeah, I understand the presence of having traps. What I don't like is it's basically like the old Sierra Games Dead Man Walking traps.
Yeah.
Where like you missed the banana in stage 3, therefore you cannot complete the game and you can't go back.
You keep putting the freaking elephant down.
This is because I haven't realised about the noob trap yet. Because I haven't reached the point where it is. And like again, this is a case of I had save states for this. Like imagine just being a kid just playing through this like repetitively.
Oh.
Which is what I used to do when I used to play games like Ninja Gaiden.
You see, I like when I grew up, it was the end of the Super Nintendo era and the beginning of the N64 era. So stuff like this, like Super Nintendo had a few hard games, but they weren't as difficult as this.
Well,
the
difficulty that occurred in those games. Oh yeah, there it is.
This is when you realize, oh.
And then yeah, just grind forwards, and then it goes into its new reserve, and then that's the end of the stage.
Technically, you can complete the level and get there.
You can't, because you can't get past the missile platform.
Oh.
Like that's the whole thing. Otherwise, I would just like motored straight through it.
That's so stupid.
I'd like to point out that was supposed to be kids in those helicopters. So how many times did they just die? Okay. This stage has a boss fight that I actually kind of liked.
I haven't. It's been a few months since I've seen this walkthrough because I watched the walkthroughs in alphabetical order.
Yeah, I mean, Captain Planet would have been one of the earlier ones, and even then, like I played this game for.
It's a very forgettable game.
That's the thing.
To be honest.
I was the one who played this game, and even I'm only remembering this stuff because it was a fairly recent play. Because information for people who are watching, this is being recorded on my new PC because my old one fell apart, and when my old one fell apart,
it flat out died on you.
Yeah, it was blue screened in like every day. At one point, I had to do a full repair of it. But when I did a full repair of it, I lost my portable hard drive that had all of my tats recordings on it.
Yeah.
So
it's supposed to be a spider? What the?
It's kind of like a spider drone sort of thing. What it does is it webs you and then drops like nasty stuff on you. And it is it's one of the few times where the firepower is actually functional because you have to use that to get out of the web.
I just realized what is in those pipes.
Go on then.
And that is That is elephant juice.
Yes. Yeah, this was me working out.
It's a kid's game.
It's what?
It's a kid's game.
I know. And look, there's also just big old elephant skeletons there as well. Like, this is literally a kid's game, and they're showcasing, like, mass elephant killing.
I mean, I get it was during an era where you want to, make things more aware, but this is definitely, I mean, I'm an adult and this terrifies me.
You wanna know what is even more unnerving?
What?
I think it's Mega Man 5, Napalm Man stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been heavily suggested, based on the layout and the look of the stage, is that it's based on the Vietnam War.
Of course it is.
And it's like, oh, that raised a lot of questions when that was brought up. I don't know why I did that.
I'm not sure either.
Then I realise there's nothing there, so I just go back.
Yeah.
This is where the stages get very labyrinth-like, as you said before, is that they do get a little bit weird. I hated these sections because these drones just get in the way. They track you and they keep firing at you.
That is one of the worst AIs. Is a nest tracking drone.
But it doesn't give you a chance to defend yourself properly. It's either just out DPS it or die, and just about every time I died.
Yeah.
Like, again, this feels like one of those things that really could have done with just a bit of playtest. It's supposed to go, okay, this needs to be changed, this needs to be adjusted, because it's just
QA a thing back then?
I'm not even sure, to be honest. I mean, obviously they probably had some form of testers on like some of the big names, like Mario games and things like that.
The company who made smaller games like this, they probably couldn't afford QA testing, to be honest.
No, like, thinking about it, they probably couldn't.
Well, at least you're tanking that.
Yeah, but I also ran out of power.
Shield. Yeah. You need the rock. Boom.
No, I don't, apparently.
What do you use then? Oh, water.
Well, I would use water, but I ran out of power.
That's so stupid.
And to make the point known, I didn't actually read the manual for this.
I figured not.
Like, normally I do for NES games, because, like, contrary to what people are used to these days, NES games did not have tutorials.
No, very rarely did they. I think I can't name any NES games, and that really had to do with limitations at the time.
Yeah, like, if they were to put the semblance of a cutscene into a game, they generally had to pull out an entire level.
Yeah. Your water did not work there.
It's because I was going into it before I complete the transformation.
Yeah.
It's me trying to be trying to preserve the power that I have.
That is a dick move right there.
Yeah, but they set that up in such a way that it grabs you and then just tosses you into the death. But again, like, dealing with the webs there, like using your firepower to break out of it, like, it's quite innovative in that design.
Yeah.
But it's just that the manner in which it's delivered, as well as the fact that if you run out of power, you're basically stuck forever. But actually, that's an interesting point, because you need the firepower to break out of the web. So if you have no firepower left, you're literally stuck. Yeah, you're stuck for the entirety of the game watching Captain Planet try to escape.
Yeah,
that's poor design.
Yeah, you see, I get back to the point of I'm gonna have this removed from the worst games list, because
compared to what we have on it, this isn't the worst.
Yeah,
this is the boss fight I like.
Oh, is it
It's a chase.
Oh, I love chases. Chases are fun.
Like, you see, Captain Planet has a new sprite for his flying, but it's just like the feeling behind it of just like Captain Planet chasing down the villain. Oh yeah, and then that happens.
Yeah. And now you gotta start it. Oh, yeah, you got the game over.
Yeah, it's alright. Because I have save states.
Yeah, but...
And then I save stated back to here. And then back again. I was trying to remember which one I needed to load. I don't think he actually fired at me.
Which is weird, because I know he did in the walkthrough.
Yeah, I turned to water and turned back, and then I try and turn into it again, but I just run out of time. I think I defeat this boss too soon. Because I do that, and then I keep going, I get closer, I think, okay, so should I punch him? And yeah.
Good place to set him on. I like how they're still in driving position.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, thinking of like some of the old games like this, like the reason, like taking Captain Planet off, like I was the one who suggested it. Yeah. Mostly because I played it, so I got to experience the majesty that it was. But compared to the other games that we have on the list, this isn't really the worst one.
You should have heard him complaining about Action 52.
Yes, I have 2 hours of footage of that. I was actually thinking of using that for this, but it's a bit of a long one. Duke Nukem!
Tats would be...
Tats was the one who introduced me to the fact that this was a character.
I know. It would have been funny if he actually had Duke Nukem's voice.
It just adds certain poignancy. Not only is he like nuclear powered, but it's just that there was the later character of Duke Nukem that we know today.
Actually, Duke Nukem I think came out the original Duke, or the Duke Nukem from the... Okay, this I know was annoying.
Yes, this is the level I need to get a guide for. And I do save state like a bloody motherfucker in this one.
Because you have to destroy the satellites, I believe.
Nope.
No.
You just have to avoid them. But here's the other problem. Whee!
Snowdrift!
Yep, the snow falls on you. And it doesn't leave much room to maneuver. Now, this is where it would have been useful for me to remember that I could turn around.
Yeah...
Because that's what you're supposed to do. I don't discover this until a bit later. Because I haven't had to use it in this game. Oh yeah, and those things track you as well.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And if you're trying to avoid snowdrifts, as well as the wall, and then that thing appears on the screen and fires a missile at you, then yeah. And then, yeah, there's another one there. Like, this is the stage where I was thinking... Like, at this point I was thinking, no, this game isn't, like, that bad. Perhaps it shouldn't be on the worst list. And at this point, my brain was sort of going, I remember now.
And you can't... At this point, it's just the difficulty curve.
Yeah, and this is the thing, is that I respect... Because this is the last vehicle section in the game. And I respect that things get difficult, but that's just unfair.
Yeah. Like, well, you can just barely see what is Snowdrift because they just hang off the edge just like that.
Yeah.
So if you see that when you get near it, yeah.
Yeah. Here's the thing that I discovered. That path I was going down, like going underneath it all, yeah.
You don't want to do that.
That's the wrong way.
You're like, I'm save state near.
Yeah, every time I made a modicum of progress in this, I save stated. Like, every single point. Oh yeah, that thing? Yeah, fires at you. Load! Yeah, I think you can destroy it. Like, now, this bit I hate.
Oh, you have to go down.
It's worse than that. You see that little penguin that was there?
Oh, you have to heart it.
Yep, you have to deploy penguin whilst avoiding that thing.
That's not cool.
No, it isn't. And then, even when I did deploy it, I had to pull up a guide to work out how to survive the bit that you deploy it for.
And this is the part where you realize, oh, I can turn around?
Yeah, it's where I pulled up the guide, and the guide told me to keep using the turnaround. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that was a thing, because I've never needed to use it till this point. So I go under here thinking, oh, I'm okay. And then...
I just realized?
Snowdrift. That's what you need the penguin for.
Yeah.
The penguin jumps up and down on the snowdrift and knocks it down.
You know what I just realized?
What's that?
I forgot to put an entry on the spreadsheet. I actually have to do that after we're done. Because one of the worst games is called Winter Race 3D, and I forgot to put that down.
Oops! I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
Neither have I.
There again, I mean, if I've learned anything for working for the Tats crew, there are so many games out there I've never heard of.
Zombie Tatos.
Oh god, you had to bring that up, didn't you? That is definitely going on the worst games list. Because that's not really a game, it's just someone's college project.
It really felt like... It felt like the two... You know those two bullies in school who don't really do their job, like, who half-ass everything?
Yeah.
That's really what this college class felt, or this college class project basically was.
Like, to dumb it down for individuals, let's face it, I can't dumb this down any more than it already is.
Dumb.
It's pretty dumb as it is. It's basically just a... Does it even have choices in it?
It does. The person who did the walkthrough, though, just kept clicking. He edited out the choices, but there are choices.
Because there was the whole element behind it is you can make choices and then it plays another video. But it's all just it's completed within like a couple of minutes, and it's actually for sale on Steam for money.
You were going faster than that penguin. I guess you were not doing it right.
No, it turned out I was doing this right. Except I wasn't going back, I wasn't turning around and giving it time to complete its task.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, Zombie Tatos was just, oh goodness.
Well, it was just poor. It looked poorly made. It looked poorly acted. Like no, there wasn't really a plot. It sort of just ended with basically just like bottom licking the creator of Half-Life.
Too much.
I don't care if I'm spoiling that. No one's gonna want it.
No. No, this is just such a bad game. What did you do?
Oh yeah, this is just me just sort of going through my save states to try and... Oh, so, did I upload the... Did I stitch these together out of order?
You did?
I think I might have done.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, no. I remember what happened, and I got very angry at myself. When I turned off the recorder to go and look up the guide, I forgot to turn it back on.
Oh, yeah.
But that's okay.
So this is the last level.
Yes, but it's okay because there's numerous levels in this, and I only had to fill 5 minutes worth of footage.
Yeah, you did the whole damn game.
Well, as with you with researching these things and doing the whole thing, in order for me to get a true cross-section of the game, I generally have to play through as much of it as I can to try and like cherry-pick bits from it to sort of showcase as much as I can.
Does that mean you're doing all the Faces of Evil?
As much as I can tolerate.
We recently watched the walkthrough to that, and it was...
It's atrocious.
Yeah. Originally, we were going to do Zelda's Adventure. The problem is Zelda's Adventure is extremely difficult to emulate because of how it pushed the CDI to its max. We weren't going to get an emulator working.
I know, because I've tried. I was the poor unfortunate who was trying to get it to work.
And this is a man who can get arcade games to work on emulators.
Yeah,
that's how good he is.
It took me a month to get Let's Go Jungle to work for the Spider entries, and Yeah, that was just atrocious. Yeah, this level is a little bit odd because in order to break those things, you have to first water them, and then you have to attack them. But since you can't attack downwards, you have to use the rock power.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as emulation goes, like the CDI emulator is really, really problematic. Like I've had lots of problems with getting them to work. I was only like about a few months ago, I actually managed to get a functional one going again, and then my PC died, and the emulator went with it.
This is why you back stuff up.
Yeah, I did, but the backup was the other thing that broke.
And you can't use water here because it's electricity.
No, because that's a teleporter.
Oh!
I didn't realise that.
It looks dangerous.
I know!
I would understand your frustration.
Like, it looks dangerous. Oh yeah, and look, that looks like a wall, doesn't it?
It's not a wall.
No, it's just foreground texture.
This is such bad game design.
Yeah, this level really just sort of highlights the worst this game has to offer when it came to the Captain Planet levels, because those teleporters can be a little bit finicky in the sense of you don't really know which direction you're supposed to go.
Yeah. So this game, yeah, it's not going on our worst games list. Still gonna say, if we had a worst levels list, this would be it.
Oh god, yeah. Like, alright, this is me trying to work out how to deal with this thing.
You have to punch the wheel.
Yeah, well, you have to punch the thing that pops up.
Oh, okay. You have to punch, because you know when there's a screw, you have to punch the center of it.
Yeah. Now, I didn't realise this at this point because I was thinking, oh, okay, I tried punching it, so, and nothing's happening, and I just keep getting killed. So maybe I'm supposed to use like a power on it. No, it turns it. Oh yeah. I was like, no,
I'm not doing this again.
I'm not going back to that. I suffered enough with that.
Yeah.
I had to pull up a walkthrough to deal with the final boss. And not in the sense of I didn't know how to do it, because I knew how to do it. But by this point, I was just so done with it.
Desperation.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, I had a walkthrough in front of me, I was like, you know what, let's just use this.
Yeah.
But speaking of tats stuff, I mean, we've got, for those of you who are unaware, check out the channel at the moment, because at the time of recording, Sedition with 049 is up and live, and absolutely epic.
Yeah. All of our voice actors and, you know, Tats herself worked really hard on it.
Well, it's the longest one we've done. Like it's nearly 10,000 words. Like it's about an hour long.
Yeah, it's a little over 9,000 words, and
like Tats was working herself absolutely. Like we've just had.
She had to take a month hiatus.
Yeah, like we had one of the hottest summers we've had over here, and like Tats was still working through that. Like she is nothing short of legendary in like her work ethic. But she got yeah, go on.
Tats is very passionate about her work, and this is what you realize. But yeah, Tats is very, very dedicated to her work. Just like all of us, but when it comes to dedication, Tats is probably the person who dedicates the most time to getting stuff done.
I mean, like we made a point earlier about like how much I do for recording. Like compared to what I do, that's nothing compared to the work that Tats does. Like I will say that 100%. Like Tats does the most work, like tenfold to anyone else on this team.
And that's, I mean, so like me, Crime, you, a few other people, we do a lot of work. Tats works hours on end.
Yeah, like hours on end every day, like making all this stuff, and the Sedition really pushed it. Like, I mean,
animation, source filmmaker animation itself is extremely difficult.
Yes.
And is a slow process. It's a slow burn. And Tats will spend her day animating to the point that she's exhausted and she's not able to talk to anybody because she's just dealing with the stress from it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying she doesn't love doing it. She loves doing this.
But it's just so much to take on.
Yeah. Like, I can't imagine being able to do that because after 2 hours, because the way we do research is we do give or take an hour, between an hour to 2 hours, 2 hours max usually of walkthrough watching. If not a review watching, because if we can't find a walkthrough to a game, we have to do a review. And you know, after 2 hours, I go, okay, we gotta stop because I'm gonna go insane.
Oh god, well, certainly with the list we've been doing lately, what with the worst games and all that, that is. Some people sort of think, oh, you're just watching videos, like that can't be that bad. It's like, no, you have no idea. Like, it isn't just sitting down and like watching a video. Oh, ha. Like, this is we have to sit down and analyze the entire thing.
Yeah, and the we get our shits and giggles. It's always fun getting our shits and giggles.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, I will also every once in a while go, okay, everybody, we gotta take this seriously. We gotta focus on what's going on here. You know, and especially, you know, what I look for in a game is how is the plot, what's the character development, if there's any, because depending on different games, there may not be. Like old style games like this are not going to have character development.
No.
You know, how's the plot, what's the background, graphics. There are so many factors I have to put in before making a list, and like I haven't even I don't think I've made the categories for, because I make categories for when we rank a list.
Yes.
After, I think it's okay to start talking about my super secret Krabby Patty formula now. It's been about a year. So there's a way for that we rank the list, and it's in the way of kind of like ranking an essay or grading an essay, a college essay. And it's very much a score-based system. What we do, we have 3 or 4 people sit together and we go over categories that we've come up with. And we rank those categories from 1 to 20, depending on the game. So we give our numbers, we divide that number by the amount of people by the number of people who are ranking that, or making that rank, and then we put that number down for that category. Then we add up all the numbers for that category for a game, and that's the score it gets. Give or take, we'll give leeway on a couple things. Give or take. I'm not going to say what number 1 for our worst games is, but we do know what our number 1's going to be.
Oh yeah, like we're well aware of that one beforehand. Like there's a standout like front runner for that, no matter how we look at it. But generally, the way it works is we work out the categories that we're going to assess by, give them figures, occasionally giving reasoning for that, in case adjustments are needed. Like we don't sit down and have like big debates about it. We'll have like small discussions on it sometimes if there's, well, I say conflict, but conflict's the wrong term.
Well, I mean, there are points where we will have conflicts, but the way we do it is through the number system. Because yes. I will ask, does anybody want to change their answer before we do it? If not, then I do it, and then we average it out. Because sometimes, and I know you and I, Blacken, for example, have had differences in opinions on a category where our numbers are significantly different.
Yes.
And neither one of us is saying we're wrong at all. In fact, it's quite the opposite. That's why the system works.
Well, it's the whole point that we each see things a little bit differently, and through our discussion of our different perspectives, we can we almost always come to a consensus on it, but through the discussion we come to understand the different perspectives and may end up changing our points a little bit in relation to those different perspectives.
And it's a system that, for the most part, has worked out, because I didn't work the system out until after hardest bosses, because that one was just given to me, and so it's kind of a biased list.
Oh, boss fight.
Oh yay!
See if you can work out what you're supposed to do.
Oh my god! You have to punch those and... Okay, yeah.
Now, what do you think you've got to redirect it to?
You got to redirect it to him.
No, I thought that.
Oh no, you got to redirect it to the fucking thing over him. Okay.
Yeah, you have to redirect it to the core above him, and once it hits that 3 times, then you have to punch him. And this is me sort of looking at it and sort of trying to figure it out for myself, going, okay, in what way do I need to make these look? And this is what I need to pull out the guide for again, because it tells you exactly how to do it.
Yeah. But, yeah, so with the hardest bosses, it's still an accurate list, don't get me wrong, but it's a little more biased because it was my first list I ranked. Because we had, originally, beforehand, there wasn't as much of a, there wasn't a ranking system at the time.
No.
Give or take, it was, all the lists are very accurate. Tats is a very good judge of character when it comes to gaming. This just adds even less bias to it. One of the reasons why I came up with a ranking system. And I've got to thank Dakota K for making it possible to work on a spreadsheet, because I had no idea what the hell I was doing.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of the ranking system is literally like anyone could pick it up, and it doesn't matter who's involved. It still works. Like, that's basically what it is. Since it's based entirely on everyone gives a number based on a category. It's averaged out, and then all the scores are tallied together to determine its ranking against each other.
That's why evening. Okay, you need to turn that bottom one. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. That's what I'm supposed to do.
And of course, you hit the game over screen just at that point.
Well, the funny thing is that what I did there, now that I look at it, that's not what the guide suggests.
But it works.
It works, but I think at this point I actually do what the guide says.
Okay.
Because what I did didn't use all of the bouncers. And the guide does it in such a way that uses all of them. So apparently, I just figured out.
You found a shortcut, is what you did.
Yeah, I figured out an alternate way of doing it. So I think that's it. And then I just sit down there.
It still doesn't use all the bouncers.
No, it doesn't. Now that I think about it, it's just a different way of doing it.
So you...
Yeah, there we go, and then
punch.
That's it. Yep. And that's the end of the game.
Kids, to solve pollution, violence fixes everything.
It's the American way.
Interesting, given the ethnic or the different cultures in this game. Not ethnics, but cultures.
And yeah, so this is the end screen. The Earth is saved. Thank you, planeteers. To visit me again, type this password.
There's a password to visit the end screen. Hey,
yeah.
You want to see the quickest speed run? Watch this.
Well, this was a thing back in the day that doesn't tend to happen so much now. Oh yeah, the video finished. This is a thing that tends to happen more in. You know what? I'm just gonna.
Yeah, you go ahead and just shut the video, close the video.
No, I'm gonna just leave that up, just so there's something on there. But basically, this is something that used to happen in the old days. When you finished a game, it would sit on the end card, and it would wait for you to reset the game. One of the reasons it did this was that so you could take a picture of the end screen yourself and show it to your friends, or basically show to your friends and say, "Look, I beat this game."
Well, that, and there were also NES competitions back then, where if you took a picture of the screen and mailed the picture in, you could be awarded a consolation prize.
Yes, and this was a thing that used to happen. Whereas these days, that's not so much a thing. Like reaching the end of the story doesn't hold as much acclaim as it used to. This is why things like the warp whistle in Mario 3 existed, because they were technically that existed, and things like that existed for playtesters to easily get to segments of the game that they needed to.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like how
they didn't have console commands back then.
Well, they had that's why cheat codes existed. Like cheat codes existed for the playtesters and the debuggers, for that kind of thing. But what actually started happening is that those cheat codes were left in because they were just released that way at the time, and then eventually it turned into
freaking code out.
Well, it turned into becoming a thing to actually put cheat codes into games purely for the fact of fun, because people found enjoyment in messing with games with the cheat codes.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that for games like Super Mario Bros. 3 that had the warp whistle, you could get 3 warp whistles in the first world, and that could get you to World 8. So you'd end up skipping about 90% of the game, which is the bit that you're there to enjoy, just to get to the bit at the end that said you did good.
Well, also don't forget about the there was a section of Super Mario Bros. 3 where you could actually get into the background and skip like a majority of the level. It was only in one level.
Yes, I think that's where you get one of the warp whistles.
Yes.
I think it's in stage 2 on the first level. It's been such a long time since I've done it. I mean, if I went back to it, I'd remember exactly how to do it.
I'd have to pull out my Switch for that, because I just reactivated my Nintendo Switch subscription too. I have no regrets.
Yeah.
$10 for 3 months. I have no regrets on that.
Yeah, you was the one who pointed that out to me.
It's so cheap.
I know. Don't worry, we're not being. This is not a sponsored thing here, but Jesus Christ, it is so cheap, and you get access to so many NES games and SNES games, and now it is sounding like a sponsored PSA.
Well, okay, so let's run it back. I have all current gen systems. I have a PS4. I have a Nintendo Switch. I have an Xbox One. Hell, I have a PC gaming computer. For the Switch, the PS4, and the Xbox, I have subscriptions. It gives me access to online play. Yeah, all of them require online play. To do online play. And for a year for the PS4 and the Xbox, it's $60. But for the Switch, in American dollars, it's just $20. So I was very much down for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's not ramble into that territory. But yeah, we have fun with that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the basic thing is that there's a lot to play with there, especially if you're someone like me who likes diving into old retro games. Hence, like the likes of Captain Planet. It's one of the reasons why I've enjoyed. And people have called me out for this, but it's one of the reasons why I enjoy doing the worst games entries. Because I derive a certain sense of satisfaction in playing some of these old games, but also some of these bad games, because it really does help you appreciate some of the good ones, the ones that did things right, seeing how some of these games did it wrong.
Jekyll and Hyde.
That one wasn't actually as bad as I thought it would be.
No, it's still a bad game. It deserves to be on the list.
Yes,
but
it is very bad. The only thing that does it credit is its rather unique mechanic on switching between Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah. Alright, do you wanna?
Yeah, I should probably wrap this up because this video has been going on for an hour and a half now.
Yeah, but, I've had 2 cups of coffee and my stomachs are making the noises.
How many stomachs do you have?
That really depends on how hungry I am.
Nice comeback.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, this was Captain Planet of the Planeteers from the NES. I'm Blackendrose. Is it Evils? Evils.
Evil. There's an S after the evil.
Evilsdeathazul. Yes, I'll try and get that right, and then probably forget. But
I make fun of him, but he's one of my best friends. I get away with it.
Oh yeah, like we get away with this shit all the time. It's kind of like our gag about every time you get a platinum trophy, I will message you in some capacity. Fuck you.
Yeah, I'm a trophy hunter. I'm a good trophy hunter.
Yes, he is a very good one.
Like I know to my horn, but if you ever can beat Lingering Will on critical mode in Kingdom Hearts 2, good on you. I've done it. It's hard, and I did it without a walkthrough.
I think the closest I've done to something like that is beating Emerald and Ruby Weapon the legitimate way.
Yeah, and they're definitely not quite sure about Ruby Weapon. There is a gimmick to beating Ruby Weapon fairly easily, but Emerald Weapon is definitely harder than Lingering Will. I will get onto that when I replay the original Final Fantasy. I just have not had time. I've been so booked with worse games.
If people question the tats video that I submitted the video to, no, I did not do that the legit way.
No,
I took a save file, I maxed out the stats, and then I went and fought it. But I have actually got a save file somewhere on a memory card where I actually beat Emerald and Ruby Weapon with characters that I ground up myself.
Yeah, and grinding there's a lot of grinding in that game because you're not just grinding up your characters; you're grinding the materia.
Yeah, that was the thing. I had master materia for everything. By that point.
All right, so I'm Evilsdeathazul. This is Blackendrose. 1, 2, 3. Everybody have a good night.
Yep. Goodbye, folks. Enjoy yourselves, and see you in the next video.